Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
Liberty Counsel requests the U.S. Supreme Court to review the case involving a Christian soccer camp program. I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Joining me is Matt Barber, the vice president of Liberty Counsel Action. Matt, this is a case that comes out of Missouri, and it is the Christian soccer camp called Victory Through Jesus Ministry Foundation. It operates a Christian soccer sports program, and in this program, it does it throughout the Midwest. They want to be able to provide information to parents about the opportunity that the parents can have for their children in the summer. This is one of many opportunities. And so they have camp flyers. And in this particular situation, the high school, the Lee's Summit School District, said no to this soccer camp, but yes to many other similar secular programs. Now this case, Liberty Counsel has asked the U.S. Supreme Court to review the matter, and hopefully we'll find out from the Supreme Court later this year whether they'll take this important, significant First Amendment matter.
Well, and I hope they do, because we see originating on the left this attempt to secularize the United States, to recreate in America in a kind of a secular humanist, secular socialist image that those on the left tend to try to, or are trying to emulate out of Europe and elsewhere. We've seen around the world it's happened, and they're working diligently here in the United States to try to create that same kind of really oppressive environment where viewpoints, where people, particularly Christians, are discriminated against based on their viewpoints. And the Supreme Court and the Constitution hold very firmly that kind of viewpoint discrimination is unconstitutional.
That's right. Well, what we have here is the school district has what's called the so-called backpack flyer program, where they allow various outside organizations to bring in material, and they give it to the students, and they take it home to their parents, and it gives them information about the opportunities for their students, particularly in the summer programs. Well, this particular school allows a lot of other organizations to use the backpack flyers, secular sports programs, secular after-school or secular summer programs. But for the Christian program, the Victory Through Jesus Ministry Foundation that has the Christian summer camp program, they said, well, we're not going to give you the same access. And they said, well, the reason why we're giving the secular groups better access than you is because they have a, quote, symbiotic relationship with the school. They didn't describe what that means. They said that, in fact, they have to be fair because one of the school board members serves on one of the boards of one of these secular programs. So, in other words, they're using arbitrary decisions, kind of good old boy type of network, in order to give special access to the secular programs and no access or very limited access to the Christian programs, simply because they're Christian in nature. That's something that is impermissible in the First Amendment. The First Amendment, whenever you place restrictions on speech to an otherwise accessible form, you've got to have specific reasons and not some this generic, moving, constant, changing reasons as to why you're going to grant or deny the opportunity to speak.
Well, it's unconstitutional on its face, but unfortunately it's in keeping with the disinformation that groups like the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, has been pushing for decades. You know, even the ACLU's own promotional materials really overtly advocate religious discrimination. They have said in their own materials, quote, "The message of the Establishment Clause is that religious activities must be treated differently from other activities to ensure against governmental support for religion." Well, the school district here is taking that nonsense, and that is nonsense. That's completely untrue, and they're applying it to their procedures here, which manifests itself as viewpoint discrimination, as you mentioned, completely unconstitutional.
That's right. So what we've done now at Liberty Counsel is we filed a petition to the U.S. Supreme Court. That will be responded to by the school district in the next several weeks. And then after that, we'll file a reply. And then later in the fall, we'll find out if the U.S. Supreme Court will actually take this case. But if it does, it's a very important case, and we believe that it is a situation that needs to be addressed. What we ultimately find happening at these schools is sometimes they're very overt in the reasons why they're censoring you. You're going to be censored because of your Christian viewpoint. Some of them have become a little bit more subtle, and even though they want to censor you because of your Christian viewpoint, they come up with other reasons. Well, the reason why we're giving these secular groups treatment better than you Christian groups is because they've got a symbiotic relationship. Well, what in the world is a symbiotic relationship? Well, it's beneficial to the school. Well, what does that mean? Or we have to give them preferential treatment because they help the school out in different ways, maybe than that the secular or the Christian groups don't. In this particular case, they actually allowed access to a secular summer soccer program, but not the same access to a Christian summer soccer program.
Yeah, it's pretty black and white. I mean, there's clearly viewpoint discrimination here in that they're blocking out access to the Christian soccer camp. But Matt, this end run that we see over and over again around the United States Constitution, it seems to me that we're seeing a rise, an elevation in hostility by, unfortunately, school districts, government entities around the country against the First Amendment guarantee to freedom of religious expression. Here, in this case, with students in public schools. What do you suppose is why are we seeing such a rise in really a short amount of time in this hostility toward freedom of religious expression?
Well, I think you're starting to see more and more of that. I think there's a couple of reasons, and we wouldn't have time to go over all of them, but certainly law schools are not teaching the Constitution. They're teaching what judges say about the Constitution, and it's whatever the judges say it is. So the Constitution has really lost its meaning. And then, of course, courts are reflecting that as they're making decisions and not respecting the Constitution or the original understanding of the Constitution. But I think what we have, too, is a worsening of civil discourse in America. We have historically religion, and particularly Christianity, Judeo-Christian values have been very accepted and understood to be very beneficial to the community, and thus the reason why they would have certain preferential treatment in certain situations. But now what we ultimately find is that there is a vocal minority of people that are very hostile, and they're taking that and turning it on its head, so that Christianity and Judeo-Christian values are not helpful, but that they are subversive. And that's what we're ultimately seeing here. And some of it may be just misinformation, that they think they have to censor. Mm-hmm. And when in reality, censorship may ultimately put them in a violation of the Constitution.
Yeah, that broad, vague term, separation of church and state, which is nowhere to be found in the United States Constitution, they take that to mean that the state can in no way recognize or even allow any religious expression anywhere, and that's simply not the case. But it's not surprising. You mentioned judges saying, in law schools around the country today, saying that the Constitution is what the judges say it is. Former Chief Justice Charles Evans Hughes actually said this. He said, quote, "We are under a constitution, but the Constitution is what the judges say it is." I mean, that is frightening, but and it's predominant in our legal system today, at least in our legal system of education, that buys into this completely off-the-wall notion that the Constitution is this malleable thing that is whatever the judges say it is. Well, Chief Justice Hughes kind of got the ball rolling on that.
Well, that's why when the Constitution comes to whatever a judge says it is, it becomes not a Constitution anymore. It becomes just
worthless.
Man-made rules that change from time to time. Well, we want you to be advised and certainly apprised of what our Constitution says. So at Liberty Counsel, we have a number of resources that are available. One resource is the Original Intent by David Barton. This book here is by David Barton. It's called Original Intent, The Courts, the Constitution, and Religion. It is a fascinating book regarding the original intent, quoting extensively from original sources of the Founding Fathers. What did they mean in the Constitution? What did Jefferson mean regarding church and state issues when he wrote the letter to the Danbury Baptists? That and much more is discussed here. You can order the book at Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org. We also have our Patriots Handbook on Religious Freedom, and that contains the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and also an essay from Patrick Henry, his speech, Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death speech. So you can order that at Liberty Counsel. go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org. You can also contribute to Liberty Counsel right there on the website. There's a donation link there. You can do an online secured credit card donation of any amount. You can also give $10 by doing a text message, 20222, and put in the subject line LC, 20222, subject line LC, and that will be a contribution that will be given to Liberty Counsel in the amount of $10. You can also become one of our friends on Facebook, and that's facebook.com/Liberty Counsel, COUNSEL. And to sign up for our resources as well, the Liberty Alert email, the Grassroots Action Alert, and also the Liberty, the Liberator newsletter. That's a monthly newsletter at lc.org.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.